Hi, my name is DeMarcus Hegler, and this is my semester at a glance. Assignment 1, pros. It gave me a basic understanding of computer components, allowed me to think about the components from the perspective of a sports administrator. Sports administration is a field that I would like to get into post-graduation, so it's always good when I can view things from that standpoint. I was able to find the components on the same website. Newegg was awesome in the fact that it had the price, the components, and all the specifications there. Cons, since this was the first assignment, the instructions were slightly unclear to me, as if you have any other new assignment that's new to you in any new course, they're going to be slightly unclear to start off. Having a budget from the perspective of my organization. My organization was a minor league baseball organization, so minor league baseball, they have a slightly different and more tight budget than other organizations might, and I was unsure if the components would fit my device properly. And at the bottom here is I kind of tells what my expression was as I was going through this assignment. So assignment 2, pros. I developed a firm understanding of how to construct a computer network. All of the components could be found on one website. Again, Newegg was awesome. I think for this one I might have branched off to a different website or two to get some different components, but for the most part it was all found here on Newegg, and I got the opportunity to choose a mobile device for my network. Mobile devices are extremely important in any sports organization, so that's again good practical application for me and my future career path. Cons, operating system component was slightly confusing. Was not sure if the component would be compatible with my network, and I was torn between which internet service to use. I was stuck between, I believe it was AT&T and Xfinity. I think I ultimately chose Xfinity just because they offered a better package for the price, but both very good, solid, well-known internet services. So, and at the bottom here is my expression as I was going through the assignment. There were some parts where I really understood it, and there were other parts that I was just slightly confused. So I couldn't put a happy picture here, and I couldn't put a sad one, so I just kind of put this indifferent photo there. Assignment 3, pros. I've gotten used to the structure of the assignment, so I kind of knew what to expect and how things flowed at that point. I developed an understanding of cloud computing services, and I learned new cloud computing terminology, which is awesome. I think it's definitely going to help benefit me in my career. Cons, the components were slightly confusing. Not as many Blackboard resources to help understand the material. So for me on this assignment, I felt like we had more Blackboard resources for the first 2 assignments. And since this assignment was tougher for me and we had less resources, it left me in a bind, but I think I did a great job of using outside resources and really getting things done from that perspective. And some of my components did not have specifications. So again, I had to do a little more digging, a little bit more research to find those things. But again, there was nothing that was too out of the ordinary for me. And at the bottom was my expression as I was doing this assignment. I had quite a bit going on this weekend for this assignment, so I was not the happiest camper as I was doing this. Assignment 4, which was my favorite of all the assignments. Pros, I was familiar with the components, and this had very much practical application to my field. Cons, it took me longer due to having so many quality components. I think that's a good con, a good problem to have when you have too many of something, too many good things. I think could be a good problem to have, not all the time, but for this assignment, I think it was definitely a good problem to have. And at the bottom here is my expression as I was doing the assignment. I was really excited, really pumped, and I got to learn a lot of new material that I didn't know before. My favorite assignment, as I just said, was assignment 4. Again, I was familiar with the components. It had practical application to my field. I just overall had fun with this assignment. I thought it was really cool to just look at the different components and the different cell phones and other mobile devices that could possibly help my business run at an optimal level. My least favorite assignment was assignment 3. Again, the components were just confusing. specifications didn't always come with the components, so I had to do, an excessive amount of research for that, and I was not sure if the components would work with my network. All right, on to the projects. Again, I thought all the projects were really cool. I think Professor Jean Charles did an amazing job just showing us what to do and having the proper resources for us to be successful in this course, especially with the projects. Pros, plenty of Blackboard resources to help understand the concepts, and it helps build a basic understanding of network topologies. Cons, the topologies were slightly confusing at the beginning. I went through and I looked at different resources online to try to understand the topologies, and when I looked at the first few resources, it wasn't really making sense. Then I did a little bit more digging, and I, found a few more resources. So things started making more sense for me at that point. And at the bottom here is was my expression as I was doing this assignment. It did take quite a while, but again, it wasn't anything too out of the ordinary, and I think that I did a good job managing. Project 2, the Lone Pro. It was fun learning about the various types of IoT protocols. The cons, the packet tracer was difficult to navigate. I was unsure if my packet tracer was correct, and I was not sure how to check my packet tracer. Just kind of trying to use the video and, just going through the tracer, alone was slightly confusing. There would be times where I thought that I had everything correct, and then I would go back and my device wouldn't have, the dots going back to my router. And I was just slightly confused because I thought that I did everything right. So I had to go back through and kind of see what I did wrong with my device and how I set that up and things like that. I eventually figured out what the problems were, but it just took me a little while to figure that thing out. Project 3, pros, flexibility within the assignment. It was a PowerPoint, so I think PowerPoints are really cool, and you can really add your own flavor to just the way you have the slideshow and the way you make your slides and the designs you use and things of that nature. So I liked it from that standpoint. I learned how security systems on my computer work, and again, I'm a huge PowerPoint guy, so anytime I get to use PowerPoint is a thumbs up for me. Cons, it took me a while to locate the Windows Defender setting on my computer. Wasn't really sure where to find that at first. After I found it, it was not a big deal at all, but to kind of start off, things were a little slow there. And I would have liked to learn how Mac security systems operate. I chose to do Windows or security system, just because I have a Windows computer, so I thought that would be most advantageous to me. But I think on my own time, I'll definitely go back and kind of look at Mac security systems and how Mac security functions as well. And at the bottom here was my expression as I was doing this assignment. I was really excited. Again, I got to use PowerPoint, and anytime I get to use PowerPoint is a win for me. My favorite project was Project 3, as I'm sure you could tell by now. It was different from the other projects. I got to use PowerPoint, and it's actually taught me things about my computer that I didn't know previously. So it's always cool to learn new things that can help me in my everyday life. And I use my laptop every day, so I think that's something that could definitely benefit me. My least favorite project, Project 2, the packet tracer was deceptive. Again, I thought that things were right, but they really weren't right. And then I didn't see, things that I should have been seeing within my packet tracer. So I just had to kind of go back and, retrace my steps and see what worked and what didn't work. Eventually, I figured out what was going on, but it was a little time consuming from that perspective. And it took me longer to complete due to the packet tracer. I think everything else in that project flowed pretty well. It was just the packet tracer that threw me off a slight bit. And that is it. Thanks, guys.